Hi, welcome to Russ's Kitchen. I've got a recipe here that's inspired by a French classic, coq au vin. This is my take on it. This is chicken in red wine casserole. And it's kind of inspired a little bit by things that are left over in the fridge that you might want to use up. That's kind of what made me come to this recipe, because I had a few things left over. They weren't going to get used. This is what I come up with. It's really delicious, not that many ingredients, and it's very, very simple to cook. So let's have a look at what we're going to need. Now, obviously the star of this show is chicken. Now, I'm using chicken legs, got these from the butcher. Just have a look at them, they're absolutely gorgeous. This is going to be for 2 people. You can scale it up, scale it down, do whatever you want, but they are going to be absolutely fantastic. I've got a handful of shallots, I'm using 6. I've got about 70 ml of brandy, a celery stick, some garlic. I've got some smoked streaky bacon. You can use just normal streaky bacon if you want, but I prefer smoked, a little bit of extra flavour. Got some red wine. If you're cooking with red wine, or if you're cooking with any wine, make sure that it's going to be the kind of wine that you'd be very happy to drink on its own. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but as long as it's reasonable quality, that's what you're looking for when you're cooking with wine. Now, I also like to put a bouquet garni in with this dish. Now, I don't have fresh herbs available, so what I have got, a little bit of a cheat, in the supermarket you can find they have bouquet garni tea bags. Now, they're not as good as fresh herbs. That's perfectly acceptable. You might need more than one just to boost the actual flavour up a little bit, but it's a way of getting around the fact that you don't have fresh herbs available all the time. And on top of that, lastly, we've got about 400 ml of chicken stock. So the first thing we're going to do is slice up the ingredients that need to be sliced up. So everything's chopped up, shallots are peeled. Next thing that we need to do is get some colour on the skin of our chicken. So we're going to put it into our casserole pot, a little bit of olive oil, skin side down, and we're just going to cook that just for a few minutes, just so that we get some colour on the outside of that skin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid on while that's happening, because as always with chicken, once it starts to reduce the fat down, it's going to spit everywhere. So that's just my way of keeping things a little bit neat and tidy. So olive oil, then the chicken. Now we don't want too much, just a little drizzle. And then in we go with our chicken pieces. Lid on. And we're going to let that brown away for maybe 5 minutes. So there's the chicken, nicely browned off. Next thing we need to do is get our bacon in and fry that off fairly hard so that it cooks quite quickly. An alternative to this, if you've got bacon lardons, they work just as well. Turning the heat up a little bit more. So that bacon now cooks off, hopefully, really, really quickly. There's plenty of oil in this now because of all that oil and fat that's rendered down from the chicken, so we don't need to add anything else to this. Bacon is pretty much how we want it. We're going to add in the rest of the ingredients, the shallots, garlic and our celery. Give that a little bit of a stir around, turning the heat down just a touch. And we just want those vegetables just to catch, so they might pick up a little bit of colour. That's absolutely fine. And on top of this, we're now going to put in our brandy. We're not going to light it, we're just going to let it bubble away so that the alcohol just starts to evaporate rather than setting fire to it. We're now starting to generate some really amazing aromas coming off that mixture of brandy and those vegetables. So on top of this, we're now going to reintroduce our chicken back into the pot. And it's time to put in our wine. We're probably going to use about a third of the bottle of this wine, just so that it comes up about halfway, maybe slightly more, just to cover some of that chicken. Well, there we go, about half a bottle, why not? Again, turning up the heat a little bit, I just want to bring that to a gentle boil. That's going to take a couple of minutes. So I've got the red wine that's now come into a gentle boil. I'm going to go in and put a little bit of our chicken stock in, just to bring that up to the level of the chicken. Pop in our bouquet garni, or our bouquet garni tea bag. And also, just to finish off, we'll season with some salt. We don't need to be over generous with the salt because we've got the bacon in there. That's going to give it salt. But plenty of pepper. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to turn that heat right down. And that's going to cook away now for about an hour, hour and a half. Okay, so it's all cooked, and let's see what we've got. I'm going to take a piece of our chicken, which is so well done. The meat is just falling off the bone there. It's absolutely fantastic. Take a little bit of our sauce that has got bacon, it's got those shallots. If you wanted to, you could actually reduce this sauce down even more, take the chicken out and then reduce the sauce down if you wanted it a little bit thicker. But do you know what? That is absolutely beautiful. Serve it with what you like. I'm going to serve that with some absolutely wonderful creamy mashed potato. But what would you serve it with? It's entirely up to you. Actually, why don't you leave a comment and let me know. That is chicken in red wine casserole. It's gorgeous.